Hello there, Fabian Klaus here from the Guyana Revenue Authority. This week we focus on the process of obtaining a butcher's license. The tax treatment for payment of bonuses. Focus on GRA starts right now.
A liability certificate is typically requested when applying to other agencies for specific services offered, such as pension benefits, gratuity, small business bureau, firearm license, etc. Simply complete the liability application form and submit it to the liability desk at any GRA office. You must indicate the purpose of your application. You should receive your liability statement within 2 to 4 working days if there are no outstanding tax returns or taxes owed. Applying for a liability certificate is free of cost. GRA, your partner in development.
Welcome to Focus on GRA, a program of information for taxpayer education. Well, do you know that the law provides for individuals to obtain a butcher's license if their trade involves the selling of meat? Carlita Edwards tells us about this license, and she will outline the documents that an individual must submit to the GRA when applying for the butcher's license.
Taxes plays a vital role in the development of a country, and so as a citizen of Guyana, it is important that you adhere to the tax laws. The selling of meat in Guyana is a trade which is practiced by numerous persons. Many individuals carry out this trade without being the holder of a license. If you are involved in this trade, then you will find the following information helpful. Let's tell you what license an individual who sells meat must obtain from the GRA and outline the documents that must be submitted when making an application for this license. Any person who occupies any store, shop, room, shed, stall, yard, or part of any such place in any part of Guyana where meat is sold, bartered, or exposed or offered for sale must visit the GRA to apply for and obtain a butcher's license. This is in keeping with Section 25 of the Tax Act, Chapter 80(1). Butchers are classified into 2 categories. Ms. Yonola Ned, Manager, License Revenue Office, explains the type of butcher's license and also outline the documents that an individual will need to submit to acquire each category of butcher's license.
It must be noted that there are 2 types of butcher's license. There is the market butcher and the butcher shop license. The requirements for a market butcher is a completed application form, a copy of your ID, and your stall receipt. The requirements for the butcher shop license is the completed application form, your updated business registration or Companies Act, or articles of incorporation. A valid form of identification can be your passport, national ID, or your plastic card driver's license. The title or transport affidavit of consent if the property is being rented, or an agreement of tenancy. Your safety certificate from the Guyana Fire Service, your cold storage license, food handler certificate, and an approved plan and letter for the premises, which must be stamped and signed by the Central Housing and Planning Authority and the Guyana Fire Service.
When applying for the butcher's license, the applicant must visit the License Revenue Office of the Guyana Revenue Authority located at 200-201 Camp Street, Georgetown, or any of the integrated regional tax office with all the required documents. Individuals are also expected to be tax compliant. Ms. Ned explains.
You have an obligation under the Income Tax Act to file your tax returns and to ensure that all of those are filed and your taxes paid. So provided that when you come with the required requirements, there is no exemption from any, and your taxes are in order, you will be granted your license.
Since the GRA is the organization that administers the laws of Guyana, we are encouraging individuals to take their tax obligations seriously and partner with us to fulfill them. Individuals who obtain a butcher's license must renew it each year, since the validity period is 1 calendar year, commencing January 1 and ending December 31 in the year it is issued. Here is Ms. Ned once again to tell us about documents that must be submitted when renewing a butcher's license.
The requirements for the renewal of the license is the completed application form, your updated business registration, your cold storage certificate for the year, your sanitary certificate for the year.
Additionally, in discharging its responsibility, which is to collect taxes according to the existing tax laws, regulations, and procedures, the Guyana Revenue Authority is committed to ensuring that taxpayers are properly educated about their responsibilities. We implore all taxpayers to make sure that they seek the necessary guidance from the GRA and ensure that they practice their trade within the ambits of the law.
Do you know that the final tax on income from mining of gold has been reduced? Gold declared by an individual and valued by the central authority will be subject to withholding tax of 2% of gross proceeds for every value under US $1,100 and 2.5% of gross proceeds from gold valued above US $1,100. This measure took effect from June 1, 2022 following an amendment to the Income Tax Act. The amendment also makes provision for the said tax to be collected by the central authority, aggregated and remitted to the Commissioner General on or before the 14th of the new month following the month in which any payment and distribution were made. For more information, contact GRA's Tax Advisory Services section 227-6060 extension 8000. With the Christmas season already upon us, I'm sure many employees will be looking forward from their employers for incentives for their hard work during the year. It's in that regard that we'll explain whether the payment of these rewards will be subject to income tax.
Giving a bonus to an employee can increase their morale and motivate them to reach their goals. However, many employers are not sure whether the payment of a bonus will be subject to income tax. Let's learn more from Narisha Bobsemple, Manager, Tax Advisory Services section.
Most times, employers would either give you cash bonuses or they may give you a bonus, an item, maybe a television. Somebody can be awarded a refrigerator, a motor scooter, a car. You know, if your employers are that wealthy to give you such a big bonus for the year because you've been perhaps rewarded as the employee of the year. Whatever the case may be, and you do receive a bonus, it is considered income. It's a payment of a kind. So the income that you receive will be subject to income tax. It's considered remuneration.
In Guyana, remuneration includes salaries, wages, overtime, leave pay, sick bonus, commission, or other payment of any kind for services, director's fee, retiring allowances, etc., whether paid in money or otherwise, arising or accruing in or derived from or received in Guyana. Additionally, gains or profit from any office or employment, which include compensation for the termination of any contract of employment or service, or any other allowance granted in respect of employment, whether in money or otherwise, will attract income tax at the rate or rates as outlined in Section 36 and 36A of the Income Tax Act, Chapter 801(1). Therefore, any bonus given by an employer to their employees as a reward for services, whether in cash or in kind, will be deemed to be part of that employee's remuneration and will therefore be subject to income tax unless specifically exempt by law. Ms. Bob Semple further explains what happened when an employer gave a bonus in the form of a good rather than cash.
You might receive a kind. Maybe, as I said, it's a motor scooter. All right. If the average motor scooter is, say, 300,000, then your employers will be required to convert that 300,000 and make what the necessary allowances and deductions and put that as part of your payroll. All right. So it becomes a taxable income. So basically, it's a conversion of the amount, and then whatever tax, whatever the amount of tax, that should be deducted and paid over to GRA by your employers.
Employers are reminded that they must disclose all remuneration paid to their employees and must deduct PAYE in keeping with the Income Tax Act, Chapter 8101. Paragraph 9 and 12 of the Income Tax Deduction of Tax from Emoluments Regulations dictates that employers must deduct and remit the PAYE to the Guyana Revenue Authority within 14 days of the end of every income tax month and submit a return of deductions of tax by an employer, commonly called Form 5. The Form 5 allows the employer to declare the particulars regarding the employee's and employer's name, TIN of each employee, the gross income earned by each employee for the period, including the value of any bonus or benefit in kind given by the employer, the NIS deducted, and the total amount of income tax deducted. Employers should also note that any bonus paid to their employees should be accounted for in the year in which it is received. Moreover, the bonus should be added to their employees' income, and one Form 5 must be submitted. Also, it has been observed that a number of employers have failed to remit to the GRA the PAYE deducted from their employees' income. In view of this, the GRA is urging such employers to desist from this practice and ensure that they comply with Section 93(2) of the Income Tax Act, Chapter 8103, which provides for the tax deducted to be paid over to the Commissioner General by the employer. Section 12 of the Deduction of Income Tax Employment Regulations outline that if an employer fails without reasonable excuse to deduct any amount of tax which he is required to deduct, he shall be liable to pay the said amount to the Commissioner General as if he had deducted it. Further, Ms. Bob Semple states why it is important for employers to remit their employees' PAYE to the GRA.
I would encourage all employers. Your employees would be at risk of not benefiting from any refund, not benefiting from any mortgage interest relief, in whatever the case may be. If you do not remit their taxes to the GRA, you will be a stumbling block to your employees. If they need a liability statement, whatever transaction that they have to do with the GRA and they're found wanting of taxes not being paid on their behalf, it's a liability to your employees. So employers, I would encourage you that when you deduct your employees' taxes, that you pay it over as soon as possible to the GRA. In fact, not as soon as possible, but we have stipulated dates in which you are required to file those returns and make the payment of tax. So I want to encourage all employers to ensure that they do remit, because if you do not pay it over to the GRA, you put your employees at risk of not benefiting from whatever venture that they may have to enter into if they have a liability with us and they require some form of statement from the GRA.
Ms. Bob Semple also had this to say.
For public servants, you should know that if you do receive any bonuses at the end of this year, just know that if the government of Guyana decides that it is tax-free, it is tax-free. So that means that your employers will not be allowed to deduct any taxes from your income that you receive at the end of the year.
That's all the time we have for this week's Focus on GRA. But before I go, let me remind you, you can visit our website for more information, gra.gov.gy. You can also send us your emails at grapublicrelations@gmail.com. And we invite you to visit our social media platforms for more information: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'm Fabian Krause saying take good care of yourselves and each other.